Hey everybody, those of you out there who are watching the series of videos on workers' compensation claim, my workers' compensation claim in Oregon, if you watch, you'll have a series of videos that show from give explanation and definition of what I've been through from the day of the accident, which is 8 months ago, till now. Try to give you high points and detail, if that makes sense, along the way, to be able to navigate the process, things to look out for, things to be aware of as you go through that. The people who involved won't tell you about, things to avoid, trying to save you some heartache along the way, not make the same mistakes that I did. Anyway, we're to a point where there was let's see, about a month ago, there was what they call an IME done. It was an independent medical evaluation. Don't let the wording fool you. It's not independent. It just looks like it's independent. I got the results back from that, and it's the contents are very interesting. So I finally got a copy of that last night, sent to me, and went through it briefly because it was late when it came in. Interesting to me, there were a lot of misrepresentations. There were a lot of statements that I had made that, I'm not an expert at this, but I have worked in the medical field, and I have had to be versed in HIPAA, and I would have to have somebody who knows a lot more about it than me, especially in detail, explain it as to how, let's just say, for example, how so and so told so and so about something I told them in confidence, that now ended up in this report, which was supposed to be an independent medical evaluation. So what that means is, if you've seen in previous videos, I've had to get new representations and new doctors because of incompetence. And I wasn't getting the care that I needed, and they didn't care as they should, I felt, and so did my wife. So they were fired and they were replaced. I had told them certain information in confidentiality, in confidence, however you want to say that. And that ended up in the report, believe it or not. I don't think that's right. I'm going to have to discuss that with my new attorney, and or maybe she'll notice it, before we talk about it. But it's also interesting in the report how things were misrepresented. It's also interesting in there how certain things are being used against me, right? I brought this up I don't remember which video it was, but I brought it up in one of the videos explaining how this this entity, safe, they're the ones who ordered the independent medical evaluation, and lo and behold, there's a business in Oregon who specializes in doing these, right? That should tell you something. So, how things in comments were left out, how they were twisted to skew towards not providing help for me, or to go back on their word, or to make things look like it's my fault, right? Even though it clearly is not. Let's see what else. In the meantime, before I received this IME, there was a day where I received letters both from Majoris, who is supposed to be the healthcare management of the claim, and from SAFE. Then this isn't verbatim, but basically the thing was that, after all this time has passed, I've been trying to receive care from someone that's consistent, that represents a path of healing that leads to me being released and the claim being closed and me being able to go back to a somewhat normal life, which means going back to work. The doctor before the one that I have now, which would be the attending physician, not only did his care suck, which is Dr. Carl Kaluza, do not go there for him. Do not use Rebound, is who he's a part of. It was a totally bad experience, every part of it, and he's very unprofessional. Therefore, he was let go. But anytime that I couldn't physically do something that he wanted me to do, he wasn't interested in why I physically couldn't do that. What he did was he would mess with my check that I was supposed to be getting. So to say that his best interest was me and my care wasn't. He was right in the pocket of SAFE and workers' compensation. So given the fact in 2 videos ago I gave you the details of firing 2 people and hiring new people, it's, as I was explaining to my wife last night, my thoughts and stuff around this letter, or this evaluation. It's interesting because now I have a team behind me who wants to just the opposite. They want to help, and they're willing to go as far as they possibly can professionally. What that entails, and I'm getting back to the letter or letters, what that entails is, when I found my new attorney, the business that she suggested was this Compass Pain and Wellness, who deal specifically in pain, which is the number one factor that I've been trying to overcome and get help with since this accident happened. And when the vast amount of pills that prescriptions that had been given to me weren't working, that's kind of what led me to this decision. Anyway, that being said, back to the letters. What the letters are saying is they don't that Safe and Majoris does not agree with my decisions of going to Compass Pain and Wellness. Yet they're supposed to be concerned about my well-being and recovery and everything else involved. So what I found is in changing, and I might have talked about this before. If I didn't, it'll be covered now. What I found was in Compass is two professionals who wanted to know what some of my goals were, and who were willing to take a completely different approach with their vast years of experience to finally provide me with some pain relief. But they not only that, they were very detailed in telling me what they thought that their plan should look like based on their wisdom and knowledge. And they also had a lot of insight into, after more than 2 decades of dealing with these things and helping people. They had some insight into what exactly the process was about, right? In other words, the underlying things that you have to take into account that most people don't know about, which is why I'm doing these videos, to give the, I don't want to say secrets, but in a way it kind of is, because it's the way that you find out about them explains a lot. But anyway, yeah, so very interesting in the letters, very interesting the the concert that was between them, between Safe and Majoris. And it's so hokey, it's so ridiculous, and it's so the line of bullshit never quits. Anyway, yeah, so there was that. And then so what has come of the care at Compass is that there's I believe it's next week, I have they want me to go see a neuropsychologist. So there's an appointment to do that. And I think real quick, since I'm thinking about it real quick, to be able to talk about the difference in attorneys' approaches and the attending physician, is that not only has there been some creative thought about how to get things to happen that I need and receive the care that I need, but they're willing to not just scratch the surface. And that's what I mean by this neuropsychologist. They want to know, more detailed and in-depth things about what having pain this long and going through what I have been with the injuries, and still not feeling really great, but feeling really bad for so long, how that's affected my life, how it's affected up here. Has it changed anything? Am I still on the right trajectory? Is there any other things that need to be looked at? So that has been really uh, comforting and I guess reassuring in a way that they're willing to go that far. And of course, that being said, all of this has been met with resistance from these two other entities, Safe and Majoris, who are supposed to be my best interest is supposed to be, in their mind, and it's not. It's not. Hasn't been from day one. If you, in fact, let's just talk about that for a second because let's just say, okay, all of this, all these videos, these series of videos, that's what this looks like. My story, if you will. So, what does it look like on the opposite end or on the opposite end of the spectrum? That's scary to think about. If you were a person who never asked any questions, who just went with with the flow, and still at the end got a negative result as far as your recovery, what does that, what does that mean? What does it even look like? Because you potentially could have, or they potentially could have missed some things along the way. Not only missed some things along the way, but those things could potentially come back to haunt you. If you didn't ever ask any questions or you didn't ever give your honest commentary about what's going on with you, boy, I could really see that blowing up in somebody's face, right? So, in turn, what does that look like? Well, if that's the case, what I've been told is there's a it can be really difficult to close your claim and then have to open it up later, like months, years down the road, should you have to, in case something was missed or your symptoms came back for some reason or whatever. You had to reopen the claim. It's not easy. So we've got not only is next week the psychological, the neuropsychological appointment. I think that's how you say it. But in about approximately a month and a half, we have a a court hearing to go in front of the workers' compensation court, and I have no clue what that looks like, what it is, what it isn't, any of it. I don't have any knowledge of that. But there is a date set in August to have that, and I'm sure that I'll be hearing from my attorney about, if there's going to be any discovery or whatever, what that looks like, what I need to be prepared for. So, that's what's been happening. As far as with me, in the last video, I received some shots, 4 shots in the back of the top of my neck and the bottom of my skull. Those did not help. So whatever is going on is something pretty serious. I'm guessing it has to do with the nerves, and the accident, because I still am having not only the constant chronic pain, but whenever I move or do something, that affects the area, or how would you say that? That stimulates those nerves, or the pain in those nerves, the damage in those nerves. My back tells me about it, and there's clear signals of shooting pain, and the the migraines have continued. Yesterday, I spent a whole day dealing with one of those, along with not having any sleep, because I can't. Most nights I can't sleep. 98% of the time I can't sleep. The other 2% looks like when I finally get to the point of exhaustion, and because of not sleeping, I crash. It usually ends up with another migraine, and then I just spend a whole day literally sleeping, to try to play catch up. And that's just, all of these things have just not represented a normal life. And it's been trying on my relationship, it's been trying with me, myself, and I, trying to work through, the bouts of sadness and feeling worthless, and feeling, I'm talking about personal, inside battles. My wife is wonderful in supporting me, and listening, and being there at the appointments that she can be, and keeping to check in. I'm not the easiest person to deal with or communicate with when I am sick and I'm tired. And those have been going on now for 8 months. We met just after the accident happened, and I was actually reminiscing about that yesterday, how I thought, based on the information that I was told by professionals, oh yeah, we'll have you back up. And in fact, the last attending physician that I fired, that's what he told her. Oh yeah, we'll have you, before your marriage, she'll be back and brand new. We'll have him all spanking new for you and ready to go. And not the case. So it has been a lot longer. I think there's a lot more going on in there, and I'm kind of on the fence now about the attorney, because I know, I understand I'm not the only one who needs help, but there hasn't been a whole lot of communication from her or her office, and it starts to make me nervous. Either she's got her shit to get, like, really together, and there doesn't need to be any except for updates, or things are being not accomplished and laying by the roadside. That's I feel like that's two pretty safe options or conclusions to come to, but we'll see. So, what else? Not a whole lot. I'm trying to get the rest that I'm supposedly, that's going to help me. And trying to, mitigate the pain, and trying to, the best I can, take care of myself. I continue to lose weight, even though I'm not exercising, I'm not active, and so I'm guessing that's because of the worry and the stress. I'm not doing those things because I can't, and they're gonna find that out here in the next few days, because on Thursday I have been scheduled for PT, and they're going to find out real quick that I can't just go in there and jump and bounce and stretch and do all these things. It's just not possible for whatever reason, whatever's going on in my back. So, yeah, so that's where we're at, and that's what it's looking like. And I will come back when I have new information. Um, actually, let me just talk more about the IME because I feel like that's kind of in the peaks and valleys. I think that's kind of a peak or a highlight, and it was done by Dr. Terrence Sedgwick. Um, it was done at Oregon Medical Evaluations. It is an independent medical evaluation requested by SAFE. We were there, I think maybe I talked about this. We were there for about an hour. Um, he was just, you know, it didn't feel like a detective was questioning me or anything like that. But it was one of the more in-depth examinations that I've had about the injury and how I'm feeling and the pain, what's going on. And based on his part, as best as I could understand it in that report, that IME, he somewhat remained, you know, um, how would you say it, like neutral, I guess. Um, he didn't purposely say anything that was damning to me or my claim, but there were some misrepresentations in there, and I feel like that's I feel like that could be damaging when you're talking about what we're talking about because you have to be really clear about the pain and the areas and the lack of mobility and stuff. And I just hope I'm not on the road to disability. I hope that, you know, this will eventually will heal. And they keep throwing out this, even in the letter they keep throwing out this 6 weeks, you know. Just, and we're going on 8 months. Obviously there's something else going on. There's something else wrong as to where I can't do normal things without feeling excruciating pain. But try to get somebody to listen to you. First, they have to determine whether you're faking it or not, and that must be something that's going on in the system. I have no idea about it or how to explain it, except for it's been said to me twice after an examination. Well, it doesn't seem like you're faking it. Fuck no, I'm not faking it. Are you kidding me? You know. Um, anyway, uh, yeah. So uh, while there's been struggles and there's been, like I said, peaks and valleys, um, I think one of the most difficult things right now dealing with is um, the ongoing, like, somewhat isolation. Uh, I can't just, like, you know, I can't do the things that I used to do, and, like, go to the gym and exercise, or hop on my mountain bike and go for a ride, or I'm very, very, very limited as to my actions and my um, my in and out daily activities. Um, Sometimes just writing, and I know I'm not gonna get into that. You guys have heard it before in my videos. I've went rant and raved and went down rabbit holes and everything else about what it is, and nothing has changed. So um, that's pretty much where I'm at. I've also started to develop some other things, like my wrists are killing me for some reason. I've developed some numbness in my feet, my toes, up my one leg. I'm guessing because of the problems in my hip. So it's very serious. It's not a 6 week thing like they've been talking about. Well, based on what we see, you should recover. Yet they haven't really seen anything because there's never there's never been a full X-ray of my back or a full MRI of my back. Why that is, I have no idea. Just like why it is, I haven't seen a spine surgeon yet. They've done it. They've made me see everybody else to rule it out. Why haven't they made me seen those people? You know. So anyway, yeah, that's just kind of where it's at now. Those are some appointments that's coming up, and life goes on till they figure on doing something else. So the other thing I found kind of curious as I'm going out finishing this video, I don't know if it's on purpose or not, but it just seems to align with the inconsistency and incompetence with everybody else. But the claim adjuster who I have, who's been, I guess, given to me, continues to send things to my previous attorney, even though my new attorney had to send this claim adjuster something saying, hey, this is me. I'm now representing Dan. Dan's not being represented by Miller Law anymore. I sent her a communication saying, hey, because this happened before with an important document, she sent it to him instead of my new attorney, her. And I said, hey, just, for future reference, this is who my new attorney is. This is the practice. This is the address. This is her email. This is her phone number. For getting things to her in the future, this is who she is. It's not this anymore. And I just find it interesting how that's how I've been ignored, and so has she about that, my attorney, and the documents that have been sent that are supposed to be sent. And yet this claim adjuster from SAFE just continues to ignore him. My previous attorney is the one who sent me, because the IME was sent to him. So last night at 9:41 p.m., he sent me the IME. In fact, just last week, I sent my new attorney, workers' comp attorney, an email asking had she seen the IME yet, and if she had, could I get a copy of it? So, just interesting. Just interesting to think about that, not only on top of the I don't give a shit about your claim, we're not going to get the paper to the right people either, the important documents. So I ended up forwarding that to her last night. Hopefully, she'll see what's wrong inside of that. It didn't take me very long. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of what's going on. That is what's going on. And anyway, I hope y'all are doing great out there. I hope this helps somebody. I just feel it's important to recognize and state I'm not making any money from this. I wanted to do this to help somebody else, not to help somebody else maybe have a smoother experience. Let him know the ins and outs and all the details, some of the things that you're not told. Well, I had to be told them, but a lot of things had to be told to me and then had to be confirmed because I didn't know anything about it. And it wasn't stuff that you're going to find in a handbook. It's things that you're going to have to deal with people who a lot of people who are in this for the wrong reason, like Dr. Carl Kaluza. He has no business. I don't know about his other practice and other things he does, but he has no business seeing workers' compensation employees, or I mean, claimants. Uh, Not only did the dude have a piss poor attitude, but it wasn't until I brought in somebody into the office, my appointment with me, that his attitude even changed a little bit. And now he's throwing me under the bus still with his statements in this IME. So that just kind of reinforces and proves what I've been saying all along. I just hope you all are doing good. If you're going through this process, don't forget to get out, get your vitamin D, do any kind of exercise that you can, that you're capable of, that you won't hurt yourself further, and try to have a positive mindset. If you're a person who believes in prayer, turn to God. Keep turning to Him because He's there, He's listening all the time. Thank you for watching this, and I hope it helps somebody. Until next time, thank y'all.